What's happening, friends? Welcome to Unlocked. It's episode 369 for November 13th, 2018. We're going to talk about what else. X018, Microsoft's big fan event, was a big success. Plenty of announcements to cover. New studio acquisitions, Crackdown 3 news, Game Pass games, all kinds of stuff. Lots of that to get to. So let's get right to it. I'm Ryan McCaffrey, Destin Legary.
Bam,
Brandon
what a show.
Tyrell,
Hey.
Miranda Sanchez.
Hello.
You tried to crowbar that in there. I don't appreciate that.
We got that.
I'm just kidding.
I'm stunned.
We're moving at a good
See?
speed
Yeah, we're
today.
just trying to set a pace, and Destin's already in the back seat,
I'm
just
excited. I'm gung ho.
veering us off the side of the road already. But no, it's yeah, it was a busy weekend in Xbox land.
Yes, it was.
We all got to watch it down in Mexico. There, none of us got to go, unfortunately.
I would have loved to go.
Would have been fun.
Been nice.
Yeah, a bunch of rabid Xbox fans. But our Latin American IGN affiliates got to go. They've got a preview of Crackdown 3's multiplayer mode, which we'll talk about in a second. So go check that out on IGN if you want to find out how Crackdown plays without having to ask Destin Legary.
Wait, Destin, you've played Crackdown?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how they changed it too.
Could you please tell us more about it?
Yeah, sure.
No, Miranda, what have you done?
We haven't heard it before, ever.
Are we kicking off that segment?
Yeah, let's just get started. So X018, again, big fan event over the weekend. This was Microsoft. We specifically have been crying for years now, where is Xbox's PSX? Where is their big fan event where they'll have a showcase and make a bunch of cool announcements? Finally got it. Here it was. And of course, we weren't invited. It's fine. No, it was down. It's a big fan event, not a media event, but we nevertheless got a lot of news out of it. And let me start with the top line news, and that was two, not one, two more studio acquisitions.
Yes.
Pulling the same move they pulled on us at E3, with not just one, but here's more than you expected.
Surprise studios. Yeah.
So the rumored one that we'd already talked about did in fact come to fruition, and that was Obsidian Entertainment. Let's start there. Obsidian, their resume includes
Such gems as
Fallout New Vegas, probably their #1 most beloved game, probably their biggest seller.
Yep.
South Park.
South Park,
Stick of Truth. Remember, the sequel wasn't done by them. It was brought in-house by Ubisoft.
But Obsidian they set that template. They made a wonderful South Park game, the best South Park video game ever made. I know I don't mean that as a backhanded compliment, I swear.
I think the first one's better than the second.
I do too. I do like the first one a little better. But and then you've got the Pillars of Eternity games, which is their new IP.
Recently got a sequel. It's their original IP, yeah. And Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire, I want to say. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but as a isometric RPG fan, like Obsidian definitely pushes all the right buttons for that genre.
They've got plenty of other games in their catalog over the
Wars.
years. That would be the next big one. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2. Not the first one, but the second one was handed to them. They did a great job on that. That was an original Xbox gem back in 2004, holiday 2004. That game's 14 years old already.
Oh.
Then you had a game I didn't super like. Some people, I know Mitch Dyer, shout out to Mitch, he really likes this game. I wasn't as big a fan, I reviewed it in the day. Alpha Protocol was there's a big attempt at a new IP, original IP for them. A lot of good ideas baked into that. I didn't think it quite turned out super great.
We have a segment later where I'm going to gush about Alpha Protocol. I actually didn't play it very much, but I see tons of potential with that property in particular. Out of all the properties that they've been licensed, that one is the most interesting to me.
Yeah, what's interesting about Obsidian, and I covered this, so I've actually had a couple of Obsidian folks on Unfiltered. Fergus Urquhart, the studio head and founder, was in here. He told a bunch of crazy stories, and I've had Josh Sawyer, one of their key designers, in here as well. And Fergus just talked, like, Obsidian is a studio that up till now they have the security now of being owned by Microsoft. They've really been one of the last major, like, large-scale AAA caliber independent studios. I mean, you think Gearbox, again, I'm talking about, like, capable of making a AAA tier game, like budget-wise and scale and scope-wise. And Obsidian, and they're fewer and farther between now because the economics of games are such that it's really hard for.
It's dangerous.
That's maybe a better word for it.
Yeah, the margins are razor thin for video games if they're not the biggest thing on the planet. So yeah, a lot of people are saying. I saw a lot of comments about how Microsoft is hunting the independent studio to extinction, which, okay.
They remain independent.
Well, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
That's just like that to me, and that's just ridiculous.
It's a
I know
little
this isn't coming
aggressive.
from you, but it's like,
not.
well,
Don't shoot the messenger.
So, do you want Microsoft to grow their first party?
Yeah.
If it's damned if you do and damned if you don't.
I mean,
with some of these people in the community.
Yeah, I think like for the small minority who is like echoing this out, I think ideal scenario is Microsoft invests in talent and then creates a studio.
They're doing that.
They are doing that. You have the initiative in Santa Monica, but I don't. It's a little bit of like an armchair narcissist kind of approach to say, well, independent studios are going the way of the dodo, right? And
they did that with, so not just the initiative, 343 homegrown, the coalition homegrown, Turn 10 homegrown, Playground was homegrown and has only ever worked with Microsoft.
Are you mad at me about that?
No, I'm mad at them through you.
Just very excited about
I
this.
want you all to know he's very mad at me, and I'm passing it on.
Pass it
I'm
on.
sure like there's plenty of other independent studios that will, grow and also become those AAA developers and
Yeah.
on their own right. And like that's just a thing that will happen as time passes. So it's not like we won't ever have an Obsidian again. Like that will exist on its own. But obviously these studios are joining up with Microsoft because they want to. I mean, it's not just like they're like, well, I guess this is our only thing. And I mean, I hope it's not, but
During the interview, he did specify that they do remain independent. So the agreement is
Talking
in a
about
way.
you're talking about Matt Booty, the studio's head at
Yes,
Microsoft
yeah.
from the X018.
I
stream.
caught that, and that was important to me because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, good, that gives them a lot of freedom. Sort of like how No Man's Sky partnered with them, but No Man's Sky can still develop freely. So I feel a lot better about how the studios must feel about this partnership.
yes.
I mean,
knowing that
it's
little
creative
caveat.
independence. Yeah,
Yeah.
they are first party. This isn't a second party situation.
Yeah.
They are acquired. They are owned by Microsoft now. But like Microsoft, had said through Phil Spencer, when they bought Ninja Theory or Compulsion, like these studios are being acquired because they're doing something that we want to see continue versus buying them and being like, all right, you're making the next whatever, the annual sports game, like that is not, that's not the blueprint for these acquisitions.
Yeah, they're not buying them for, you have this good idea, now make this thing that we wanted to make, but we didn't have the team to. And that could happen with some of these teams.
Sure.
But at the same time, hopefully it's something that they're interested in doing.
Yeah.
And it's also important to remember that, because developing games is so dangerous, these studios are only one flop away a lot of the time from having to shutter and having to close their doors. So this provides not only financial security, but like technological savvy, and Microsoft's got a million people who know what they're doing, and that is their main focus. So anytime something breaks or they have that problem, they've got a
and in
partner.
case anybody thinks you're exaggerating, when at E3 when Ninja Theory was one of the acquisitions by Microsoft, they released a video to their public, to the fans, stating in no uncertain terms exactly what you just said. So it's like it's a high wire act developing big budget AAA video games in this day and age. So
it's inflating so fast and so aggressively that it's really not sustainable to be, self-funded anymore, right? Like you need an investor, you need somebody to put that money in for that financial security.
You can be, it's just very difficult.
It
Very,
depends
very-
on the scope. If you want to
Yes.
create something that is seen as a AAA game, that's
the
hard
scope
to
is-
that's hard to do by yourself.
I mean, even Bungie.
Yeah. Yeah,
Go ahead.
exactly. So last week, the news came out that Activision is unhappy with the performance of Destiny 2. Like, it's not making enough money for Activision. And it's kind of like that game from August 2018, from 2017 to 2018 in August, it was like the number 6 or number 8 game, according to Forbes. And I think it only went up from there after Forsaken. And there's like, nope, not good enough. You're in the top 10.
Well, what's crazy is like they look at Call of Duty, which has been the #1 selling game of 7 or 8 of the last 10 years. Like those are high expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But Bungie did come back and say like, look, we are happy with
totally
what we
dedicated.
made. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
It's
point-
great
see
to see
that
Luke
too.
say that.
Yeah.
The point is, even Bungie, like the probably as far as security and fiscal independence, top tier independent developers, signed up with Activision to help fund and get their vision made. That's what game development is like now.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, not to derail you.
Oh, go
again.
ahead.
What do you think the biggest one out there still is? The CD?
independent studios,
Yeah.
that's That's a great
CD Projekt Red?
or Gear. I mean, I think Gearbox is still in that group too. You know, they've tried. They own a number of IPs now. And they're not necessarily.
Sure, they're publishing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're smaller IPs other than Borderlands itself. You know, Homeworld and what have you. But yeah, Duke Nukem is in that group. But yeah, CD Projekt and Gearbox would probably be two that really come to mind. You know, IO just shipped. I just reviewed Hitman 2.
That's right, yeah.
And they're independent now, and they own the Hitman IP. They partnered with WB to get this Hitman 2 out there. But you know, I think it's fair to call them maybe like double A as far as the sort of budget and size of their team. You know, they put out a wonderful quality game.
Yeah,
yeah. It's a short list.
It does take a game being as successful as something like Witcher 3 to maintain your independence in this day and age. Yeah. Those don't come very often.
Yeah. So Obsidian gets the security they will. We're going to talk in a minute about what we think they might get up to. The curveball here, the one other thing at this event was the second studio acquisition announced, which it's not so much who, but it's how this fits in. In Exile Entertainment. Brian Fargo, a luminary in the games industry. He founded Interplay back in the day. He was instrumental in the creation of the original Fallout and Wasteland.
Wasteland 3's on the way.
Bard's Tale.
Yeah, so he was on Unfiltered. To check that interview out if you're ever curious to see more about, now that they're a Microsoft studio, what his history is all about. But you have two role-playing game developers. They both make Western-style RPGs. They're both based in Southern California. There seems to be, on paper, a lot of overlap here. Microsoft did seem to realize this. Matt Booty stated on stage. He didn't go too far into it, but he did simply address and say they're going to continue to remain separate. I think trying to head off any thoughts of like, are they going to be merged?
Is it getting the band back together? Yeah,
right.
Yeah, very good note to have.
But yeah, in Exile. So what about that? What do we think of that?
Yeah, what do we got there? We got Wasteland. Hunted Demon's Forge was actually a little intriguing to me as an IP because it seems like they sort of could do something within the action market. I know the game didn't review tremendously well, but it's an interesting concept.
Was that twin stick? Was that a twin stick shooter?
I don't remember.
Oh, I'm thinking
it looks like it was a 3D shooter. I didn't play these games.
I'm thinking of Hunter the Reckoning.
Yeah. And then we can't forget Baby Pals, one of their first games.
Yeah,
Definitely
Baby Pals.
Should be
many a night.
From In Exile, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Bard's Tale is an awesome get. I mean, I grew up playing these sort of block by block RPG like dungeon crawling games. I was really happy to see that make a comeback with Bard's Tale 4,
which was well received, by the way, on PC.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play it yet because we're in review season, but I'm very excited for it. And you know, Legend of Grimrock sort of started that a couple years ago as well. But they've done a lot of really cool stuff. The talent at both of these studios, I would love. I was happy to hear that they were going to be independent, but I was kind of sad as well because I was like, oh man, they could make a super RPG studio.
I mean, here's the thing, like. Bard's Tale and Wasteland 2 and now Wasteland 3 were kickstarted. There are success stories from Kickstarter who, as they've come out, Wasteland 3 is not out yet, but 2 and Bard's Tale 4 have come out. The common theme there seems to be the gameplay is fantastic, but you know, it's low budget in the production department, not even the polish department, just the AV prowess, shall we say.
They're limited in what they're able to do, and potentially this could bolster that ability.
Exactly.
That's exciting.
So you lend that, you put the Microsoft might behind the existing.
Oh, you want some blur? You got it. You blur cutscenes?
Yeah. No, you can't. That's exactly what
that'd
we're
be great,
about.
right?
Like, here's a toolkit. Just pick what you want.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think they're going to get up to? Because you've got two role-playing game studios that now each have clean slates. Microsoft presumably now owns Wasteland, Bard's Tale,
Pillars
of Eternity, Alpha Protocol,
Skyforge.
Well, if I answer what I'm hoping, I'm trying not to cannibalize the question for later in the show.
Yeah. But
I think it would be fantastic if both are able to develop in their unique styles just fantastic RPGs on the Xbox platform. I'm a big RPG fan. I love the Fallout series. You're playing 76 right now. And I think
Not right now, but yeah.
Well, it's been a while since somebody has really knocked it out of the park with something new.
Yeah.
And maybe they have something that Xbox knows about and Microsoft knows about, and they're like, oh yeah, let's back these guys.
But I think that's you're kind of playing right into my hands here, Destin, and I appreciate it because it's
oh no.
That's sort of exactly my point, though, is that how are they going to not the point was emphasized that they are going to remain separate independent studios. Hey, we're not folding these guys into one thing. So if you have two studios with prominent role-playing game experience, it was already said they'll be making RPGs. How do you differentiate them? What direction, does one studio lean one way and one lean the other? How do you guys see this?
I mean, if they're trying to keep their independence, I would assume that they're not going to direct that either way. Like, I think their definition of how they make their RPGs is enough to separate what they are, and their own IPs probably won't compete too much. I'm sure there's like some direction there of like, hey, maybe this is in development, maybe focus on this other project.
Yeah.
And I think there's more in that as opposed to you can't make this or you can only make these kind of RPGs.
So let's look at the type of RPGs that are developed, right?
That's the point, yes.
You look at Wasteland 3, that's a top-down.
We're looking at it now.
Yeah, this is Wasteland 3.
Isometric.
It's on the way. Isometric, top-down RPG, probably a little bit of story-driven. I haven't had the opportunity to play
It's old school style.
Old school style.
It's like Icewind Dale, Baldur's Gate, old school.
Yeah.
Compare that to what they did with Alpha Protocol, a third-person action RPG.
Talking about Obsidian now.
Obsidian, it's a very different style of game that you're going to be experiencing as a player on the Xbox platform, and that's why I'm really excited because they're both RPGs. They both meet different audiences, and they're both really, really interesting concept-wise.
Understanding, though, that Obsidian also makes Pillars, which is an isometric take on it as well. But I actually agree with you. I think the pedigree of Fallout New Vegas and Alpha Protocol means Obsidian shifts gears to either have one team make Pillars 3 and another team focus on a third-person sort of open-world RPG experience. And while In Exile continues with what they're doing with the Wasteland series, or
because Pillars is out, right?
Pillars is out.
Pillars is out. Wasteland's on the way, so they're almost leapfrogging each other with the development cycles, which is great.
Just shipped.
Yeah,
it's like literally just shipped.
Yeah.
So Wasteland 3 is still in production.
Yes,
from In Exile.
As far as we know,
Bard's Tale is done.
Yeah.
Well, the press release said the upcoming Wasteland 3. Yeah. As far as Obsidian goes, I think they go more of that sort of traditional action route, move away from the isometric RPG.
Yeah, I think I kind of favored Obsidian just because of like how I play RPGs. I'm not super big into isometric RPGs. Also, maybe I just haven't given enough a chance. But I think
Divinity Original Sin 2 is so
they're just like a little bit more daunting, I think, for
they really
people
are.
who didn't grow up with them or didn't play with them. So I think Obsidian might be the one that they lean on for the mass appeal, I think. But then In Exile is for those hardcore RPG fans that are doing this, and I'm excited to see how they go about I guess marketing In Exile's games, especially because it is a little bit less familiar to get into that isometric.
And I think it's important to point out too, to sort of calibrate people's expectations, or at least this is how I'm setting mine, and people can agree or disagree, but the studios that Microsoft has acquired, they're not all necessarily AAA, crush the world, gonna be the biggest thing ever kind of games. I mean, look at Ninja Theory has made, Hellblade was a kind of a AAA game.
No, it was like a B tier, right?
It's sort of
that blew up.
It sort of it snuck into that.
It blew up because it was ostensibly it was an indie game that was in development for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Like that had time. Do you guys remember it was on a Sony stage like 4 years ago doing real-time mocap, like facial recognition? That game was in development for a long time, and you can see if you go back and watch early footage of it, it was very rough. It was super rough. So that polish, that time is what allowed them to polish it up. But they're effectively an indie game, and before that it was Enslaved.
And Compulsion is a smaller team, smaller scale stuff. So I'm wondering if In Exile will continue to kind of be a smaller team that makes things maybe every 18 months to 2 years, whereas Obsidian seems to be a bit of a they're larger scale. They're just a larger studio. Maybe they'll be kind of the big first or third person open world AAA level RPG that's out every 3 or 4 years. Like they're not all. Every studio that Microsoft owns now is not going to be making the biggest thing ever every single time.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I see a lot of potential with what they did with Hunted Demon's Forge. Just watching that gameplay, and I'm like, that's really, really interesting to me. That could potentially be a God of War style game for the Xbox brand that I think it's missing. So it would be really, really interesting if they could develop something like that. And I would love it if inXile was given that opportunity. And Xbox and the Microsoft heads, they know what these guys are working on.
Sure.
So there's money there. Like, they know something's coming.
Yeah, Ace B-roll work here by Dan Parkhurst in the control room. Look at this.
B-roll.
Is this Dungeon? Is this Dungeon
Thanks,
Siege?
Dan. Thanks for using it, Dan.
No, Dungeon Siege. That's Chris Taylor. That's a different thing.
Okay.
But that's Dungeon Siege was a Diablo-like. There were 3 of them. They're pretty good.
Yeah, I gotta say,
there was a third-person version of it as well on the original PlayStation.
I got to say, after this conference, though, X018, you and we were covering it over the weekend, and we went in, and I was kind of like, oh, it'll probably be like 4 trailers. And I was like, I am really stoked about all the news coming out of this conference.
Yeah,
so I'm really excited to be on Unlock today talking
It was tough for a couple people, but there were announcements every 5 minutes.
Yeah. I think at one point I was like, Brandon, this was way more than we expected.
Yeah.
I do think, though.
Like, game over, man.
Yeah.
I do think, like, even though Microsoft does now acquire ownership of these studios' IPs, I think there's a very, very, very high chance that both of them are just set loose on new stuff.
Yeah.
Because the whole Microsoft is trying to press a reset button in every way, shape, and form, and it's not an overnight process. They've been at it for some time, and we've already seen a lot of the results of that. But I think there's a very good chance that both inXile and Obsidian just go on something new heading into the Scarlet generation, and that it won't necessarily be any of these games in their existing portfolio.
No, yeah. I mean, we know Wasteland is coming, but I think it would be silly to think that they're just going to continue to make Pillars 3 or Wasteland 4 or something.
Right.
Who knows?
Hopefully they've had like a jar full of like little pieces of paper with dream ideas
I think
written on
every
it.
studio
Here's what
has
we're
that.
ready to make when we can have the time and budget, and then
And then
Microsoft.
Time to open the jar.
Microsoft walks in and just
hope
like
so.
takes the lid off. Huh? Who wants to reach in?
Yeah, I want to hop into Wasteland right away. I want to try that one out. Yeah, have you played it? Have you guys played it?
No, I didn't play 2. I picked it up, but I didn't have a chance to play it.
Yeah. Well, I want to check it out.
The
now.
woes
I'm
of
really
working
excited.
in the industry, right?
Wah.
Yeah.
All right, so the other big question I want to pose to the panel here, after these 2 studio acquisitions, Obsidian Entertainment and inXile, is Microsoft done shopping?
No.
Do you think they will continue to acquire more studios? Because now, by sheer number, they have more first-party studios than Sony does.
Oh, let's not start this.
Dude, don't just. But you look at the RPG check, first-person shooter check, third-person shooter check, racing check. They've got a lot of
And man,
Fable
Forza is
coming.
crushing it.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about
Expectedly.
Yeah, for a long time it was what's better, Forza or Gran Turismo, and
Not
I
a
think
contest.
it's very, very clear that Forza is the premier. There are some other series out there, The Crew and all
Project
that.
Cars.
Project Cars.
Don't say
like-
the Crew. Get out of here.
Anyway,
Sorry, Forza wins.
Forza
Yeah.
is, I think, the premier racing franchise in the world right now.
My
what happened?
point being-
Need for Speed. Where'd they go? Yeah. Sorry.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. We have Forza.
We have Horizon.
It doesn't matter. There's
that, Criterion?
so many genres. It was for a
Yeah.
long time. What is the shopping spree done?
I think no.
Is it ever done?
Yeah, right. You always look. You always window shop, even if you don't have the cash
They didn't
right
buy
now.
any studios for
Right.
years up until this year. Like they went on a bender this year.
They didn't have to. They didn't think they
fix.
had to.
Yeah.
Whether or not they needed to right now, I mean, it's up for debate, right? But now you're sitting at 13 studios because they realize that, next year they need exclusives they need software to sell hardware. So I think that Dustin's right. I think they keep their eyes open. I'm not saying it's museum rules apply. Like you can look, but don't touch. I don't think it's that.
But is the credit card in hand? Or is there any there.
genre-
I think they're still
Matt
looking.
Booty has always got an email chain open with somebody,
No,
right?
but okay, so what?
I think there's still conversation.
What's the gap in the portfolio that they're ready to go try and fill?
Walking simulators. No. I don't know.
This might be controversial to say.
They don't have an MMO?
Excellent, exceptional storytelling on the caliber of Naughty Dog or
The Initiative.
Sony Santa Monica.
Yeah, they already have their
They're
own.
building that.
You think that's what that'll be?
said that's what it is.
That's
Okay.
their quad.
Yes.
Quad A studio.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
That is their Last of Us, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima. all
Okay.
that.
Then they need to bring back Legacy of Kain.
Oh my God.
That's
They're-
just get
They're very thin in their vampire
You
portfolio.
know, Crystal Dynamics is about 15 miles that way.
Yeah?
Just hop in the car, go knock on the door, see if you can make it happen.
Hey, give that to Xbox.
Hey, could you guys stop making that Avengers thing
Yeah.
and work on Legacy
not
of Kain
important.
instead?
right.
Give Lara a rest. I want vampires. Seriously though, Legacy of Kain, I would 100%.
Yeah, right?
I would sell so much of my personal
Yeah.
belongings just to buy that game.
Well,
I don't know.
I'm not hearing any definitive like shortcomings
All right,
in the portfolio that
They don't have a
Trying to
sports
think.
game.
they have shown zero interest in getting into that business.
Yeah, that's EA,
That doesn't
right?
mean you asked a very specific question, which
Yeah.
is what are the holes in their
Yeah,
catalog?
but do they want?
They
that?
don't have the show, you know.
True.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't have like a Dead Space. Well, wait.
I don't know.
They,
I'm trying to be devil's advocate.
they don't have a Dead Space, like a scary game. They don't have a shared world shooter. Well, we were talking about Criterion, so Criterion's Dead Space, right?
No, that
was Visceral.
Visceral.
Rest
I'm
in
sorry.
peace.
So yeah.
Nobody has a Dead Space anymore.
So they don't have anything like that. And then
I mean, there's a lot of
they
genres
don't
you could just check off. the
share
list. Like,
world
they don't have,
shooter.
They don't have dating sims. That's a really important one.
Yeah.
That's
True.
what I'm bringing to the table.
Who makes
Well, all right, all
Hatful
right.
Boyfriend?
There is no. They do not have a Japanese studio in the first party portfolio.
Okay.
That could make,
I'm about
you
to
know,
say that would be my next thing is they don't
Yeah.
have
And I
any place there.
don't think Platinum's going to be.
Oh,
Hey,
Why?
hold on. You never know.
Yeah.
You look at Obsidian has an interesting history with Microsoft.
Really?
They did KOTOR 2 exclusively for the original Xbox, and then they turned around and Microsoft canceled Stormlands, which was going to be a launch title for the 360. There's a
Oh, okay.
breakout segment about that. It's covered in that Fergus Urquhart Unfiltered that I
Yeah.
did.
That had to hurt.
Yeah, and guess what? Now they've clearly repaired the relationship to the point that they've acquired the studio.
Okay.
So
okay.
yeah, I mean, it's most adults, I would hope, can move, patch things up and move on.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't rule out Platinum as
Okay.
Maybe Platinum, but yeah, like you're right. The last, I think, Japanese originating exclusive was Lost Odyssey or
Yeah, the Mistwalker.
Well, a lot of people look
Blue
back-
Dragon.
Blue
Lost
Dragon.
Odyssey.
Yeah, thank you.
People look back to Lost Odyssey all the time and talk about how much it moved them and how much they love that story experience. And
Yeah.
like that would be great to like have something like that on the Xbox platform today.
Totally agree.
Like a JRPG.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, or a Platinum style fast action game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still lament Scalebound. That the game was looking. It had its goofy elements, which didn't
That's what I
speak to
like,
me as
though.
much. But yeah,
That's
like
what I liked.
like there were
That's
mo-
neat.
to me, I was like, oh, it's like Monster Hunter, and those are the elements that spoke to me. And I think having like that just that unique perspective that you don't find in Western development.
So final vote all right. So 2018 is almost over. Will we hear about another studio acquisition from Microsoft by E3 2019? Yes or no?
Oh. So like during E3?
Yeah, including E3.
Okay, I will say yes, and I think
Yes?
they have somebody on the hook that we don't know about.
Miranda.
I think one.
One. Yes. So
One
yes,
yes.
you're a yes.
Yeah.
Brandon.
I think so too. I think it's pretty easy to see them acquire MPH, the Cuphead studio.
Studio MDHR.
MDHR, yeah. Something like that. Like
happen.
maybe Moon Studios,
Yeah.
maybe MDHR.
Happen.
Some of these smaller ones that have worked together for a while now. I could see them
Cool.
announcing.
I'm going to vote yes as
acquisitions.
well. Make
All
it
right.
unanimous. I think we will. I think they're not done.
One.
The credit card's still out.
Do we all think like one?
I think one.
Yeah.
One
and
more.
then it's like, all
Yeah.
right, let's everybody make
Then
games now.
let's see how things are going.
yeah.
Yeah.
I hope they're already
Yeah.
making games.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
I'm sure they.
Yeah.
All right. Let us know what you think. Unlocked at IGN.com. We'll see what the Unlocked audience thinks. But we think they're not done. But welcome In Exile and Obsidian to the Xbox family. Okay. Next item up for bids here on The Price is Right
Okay.
is in
$1,
fact-
Ryan.
Not yet.
Oh.
You don't want to start with $1. That's a bad idea.
$1.99, Ryan.
Nope.
No, $1 is like
I don't-
most people win when they say $1.
But not if they go first.
Or they
I
do a
don't
dollar.
actually know how to
dollar.
$2, Ryan.
Oh yeah,
Dang
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So
Damn it, Linda.
this one, I got a lot of tweets, a lot of supportive people are like, I thought of you right away.
Yeah. Oh,
Summer of Arcade is back.
Myself
in
included.
winter. Winter of Arcade coming this winter. Unfortunately, there are no details beyond that, meaning we don't know what the games are.
What up?
But Chris Charlotte took to the stage and said, yes, Winter of Arcade coming this year, and it will, mirror a lot of the same, just curated premier indie titles from the ID at Xbox program.
I swear, 2 episodes ago we said this wasn't going to happen ever.
Chris hinted at
it's not Summer of Arcade.
Chris hinted at some sort of connective tissue between the games in the sense of probably like they used to do the discounts. If you buy all of them, you get one for 20% off or something.
Yeah, he
something
said the
like
more
that.
you buy, the more you're incentivized to buy or something like that.
So that leads to the obvious question, and I'm definitely going Miranda's way first for this because I know what she's going to say and I want to hear it. What are the Winter of Arcade games going to be?
Give me Below. That's all I want.
Yes.
Nothing else matters. If they matter.
If
but
Below is not one of the games in Winter of Arcade, I am quitting the show.
They've said this year.
Because
they said this
Happy
year.
said this year.
And
multiple times.
And we know that there are surprise announcements at the Game Awards when they said that Chris Charlotte said that they would detail the Winter of Arcade games. The details about the program would be at the Game Awards on November 6th.
So, so December, what is it, 6th or
December
7th?
6th. Yeah.
Might be my last show ever if Below is not in here. Because, it has to be. After
be
all
Below.
this, and there's finally an indie elevating initiative going on at Microsoft like we've been crying about for 5 years.
And what a good way to celebrate it, too.
Right.
If we've been waiting for this, let's give it a big send-off and say, hey, here it is, and celebrate it, and just have a good time with a bunch of other games, too.
Yes.
And, I've been kind of betting on Game Awards. Like, that's probably when they're going to let it out.
It's got to be.
It has to be.
It's got to be. It's the last stop on the on the line,
Yeah.
It's the last station on the line that you can make a big splash with a game because after that it's Christmas time,
Yeah.
All right, so what are the other games?
I have no idea.
Thanks, Destin.
What about you guys?
Let's go back to Miranda and Brandon.
I'm going to look at the notes.
Yeah.
Ashton was written. I was like,
Yes.
I think Ashen's probably, because we've seen that the last couple of years now. That's a higher profile title in the ID catalog. I think that's the other one that I feel pretty confident about.
I can't remember off the top of my head the release date, but maybe Tunic.
Yeah, there's a few games that.
Oh, that would be good.
It's not out.
No, it's not.
But that
would
was
be awesome.
Tunic was one of the surprise standouts of E3 this year.
What was that other game where you have a spaceship and you go into space?
Oh, I know the one you're talking
let me
about.
guess.
And you
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
No, keep going, Brandon. How do you fly the planes?
you go into space and then once you're in space, you look around space. You like go
with an
between
E, I
different
wanna say.
planets. It's very cartoonish and very comical.
Well, but hold on. Now I'm wondering if I'm
Actually,
thinking of the same one.
We both saw it together at the showcase at
Video
E3.
game in space.
Inner space?
No, 'cause
Actually, I would have to
one
look it
I'm
up.
thinking-
I have
remember.
no idea.
Yeah,
and now I
there's a game
realize
in
I've dug this
space.
hole and we're all in it together.
It's been so long since E3 that I hardly remember half of the games that I played there that were in E3.
But it does
I really
speak,
liked,
it does speak
but-
volumes to Tunic that's the game we remember.
Yes.
Like
That one
that's-
really resonated. Like getting to
So
see it, and it's like,
And-
oh, Zelda. I understand
was-
that concept.
It was fun as
Yeah.
hell to play too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
played
charming
great.
in its own right. Yes, it reminds you of Zelda, but it's also stands on its own, which is cool.
Yes.
Although, as I recall it, isn't that literally a one-man operation?
Crazy.
Other
yeah,
than like the music.
yeah, he does the art, the coding, the design of it, and then he outsourced to the music to. It's that studio that does a lot of music for indie game, the Powerful, the Build Up, something like that.
Okay. Well,
So
yeah,
maybe we won't see that this year.
He
well,
outsourced
Super
it.
Meat Boy was like 2 guys.
It was 2 guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been working on it for a while.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
How many people are on
maybe
Below's
that'd be
team?
good.
That's Capybara.
What is it? It's,
Oh,
it's
okay,
yeah.
a dozen of them or so, I think.
Yeah.
If
So
my
small
memory's
teams
right.
can make great stuff.
Well, of course, it's
Yeah.
just a question of when. Below's had 5 years, 6 years, 7 years.
Did that
it's
did that spiritual successor to Castlevania ever come out?
Oh no, I think it
Which
got
one?
pushed again.
Did it?
Bloodstained. Yeah.
Bloodstained, Symphony of
No,
Madness. I don't know.
Ritual of the
Symphony of the
Night.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
I started watching Castlevania on Netflix, and now it's just nothing but
No,
Castlevania.
I need to watch season 2.
What
Season
about
1 was so good.
Ooblets? Well, I think Ooblets is still a ways away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did you
were
hear
really
they
into
changed
Ooblets,
it?
right?
You no longer fight your Ooblets.
Yes,
now
you
they just have
dance
dance offs.
Yeah.
That's
They're
super cute.
Yeah, it's adorable. definitely follow our Twitter if you like Who Blitz at all, because they put up so many great updates.
Okay, so we're
Very
saying
nice.
then our money is on below is like it has to be Ashen, probably.
Yeah, I would.
Tunic, maybe.
I hope Tunic. Tunic
And
would be
then
so cool. I would love to play
there are
that.
most likely going to be 4 games. If it's like Summer of Arcade, probably 4 games. We don't know what the 4th one is.
No. Yeah.
Well, that's a wild card to this group.
Here's a question though: do you think, since they're promoting this and saying there are incentives to buy it, to buy multiple, do you think that these games come to Game Pass during Winter of Arcade?
Not immediately.
I'm curious.
Yeah, great question.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
I mean, ID titles, those arrangements would have to be made on a developer by developer basis. So
Ori
I don't know.
is day one now.
Now, yeah.
Yeah. So when Ori 2 comes out, it'll be on Game Pass day one.
Yes.
And then there's the original Ori that's coming soon.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in just a minute.
I'm so pissed. Remember I told you I just bought it like 2 months ago and beat it in one sitting? It always
They
happens.
deserve that money, though. It's fine.
Exactly right.
Don't make me
Exactly
feel
right.
guilty.
Make you feel guilty, make you feel better about it.
Game Pass is really good. Yeah.
So, shout out to Alana Pierce, the ghost of Alana, because guess what? She, as an Australian, finally gets Summer of Arcade because it's. I know she lives in America.
She lives in
Don't
North
come at
America
me.
now.
Hush, don't at me. She finally gets a Summer of Arcade, and we get what they had, which is Winter of Arcade.
Yeah.
Nice.
Lucy O'Brien is going to lose a summer and gain a winter now.
That's true. She's on her way here
Yay,
now.
I'm so
Can't
excited.
wait. We'll have her on the show here as soon as we can. Okay, next item from X018. Crackdown 3, Destin.
Yeah.
You're the house expert on Crackdown 3
Because I played it.
because you played it 3 years ago.
Wait, what?
Wait, did you play?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Well, people have finally played it again. It's been a little while. I mean, in
A
all
bunch of
seriousness,
people played it now.
It had been a little while. No one had played it since last E3 through 2017. I played it. Brandon played it there. But the
Year?
release date is now not February 22nd. It moved off of that horrible, just
Oh, right. Yeah.
A
massive.
lot of things are just getting out of the way of that day, and it's good.
It still is.
Thank you.
So Days Gone has moved off.
Days Gone got
and
pushed.
Crackdown has moved
Got
off.
brought in.
Yes, it's February 15th, by the way, for Crackdown 3. Still have Anthem on that day. I doubt they're moving.
Right.
And Metro Exodus still hanging around that day as well. We'll see. if
Anthem's
they-
the 22nd, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Anthem's 22nd. This a little bit ahead of time, so you can get your Crackdown.
Yeah, 1 week
out of the
early.
way.
So yeah, February 15th, 1 week ahead of that previously mentioned date.
You know what
And-
else, Ryan?
What?
Go get Crackdown 1 right now. Everybody who owns an Xbox can just go get it for free.
Yeah, it's free.
Go download it. That was really exciting news.
Yeah.
Now I don't have to take out my disc anymore. I just pop it on the Xbox. I love it. Like Assassin's Creed just came to backwards compatibility.
Yeah, we were talking about this.
And like
You
I just
were- you
love
were
that
super
they're all
excited.
there now in my library and like how they're gonna keep your library going forward. I'm really excited about what they're doing with the Game Pass, how they're distributing games now. Microsoft's just really knocking it out of the park.
The infrastructure that they're creating, the foundation for what the Xbox walled garden economy is going to be is fantastic. Like it's so surprising. It's like
I have so many games.
it's
Too
kind
many
of
games.
it's kind of up there with Apple in terms of like services that they provide and different ways to interact with what you own. I can buy a game on an Xbox, play it on a PC. I can gift it to a family member. Like there are all these different ways to interact with each other that I think aren't going to come into fruition until next generation. But it's going to be
All of this, as we've talked about before, they are positioning themselves to really hit the ground running in the Scarlet generation,
Yeah.
which they understand they've got to do that. The PS5 will be a very formidable opponent with an incredible amount of momentum coming off of this amazing PS4 generation.
I think it'll be the default console coming in.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I mean, the success of the PS4, you can't argue with that.
Right.
So yeah, it's great to see in all these studios and the digital infrastructure and ecosystem that you're talking about. It's going to be there. So Crackdown 3 did also finally show off that long-touted multiplayer mode. Yes, Destin, with the power of the cloud.
Yeah, they kept the cloud technology, which is really excellent. And they said that means that if you're on a base Xbox, it means you're going to be able to do all the destructibility and you won't suffer any slowdown and such. It's really cool that they were able to maintain that. It looks like the destructibility is still there. They did a good job of showcasing that and the power of the cloud, of course. I'm going to be really interested. It looks different though. It's all the buildings are fairly generic.
Yeah, it's set inside. They're narratively justifying that by this. This is like a VR simulation thing.
Oh, it's Tron. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. Clearly, they had to make some sacrifices from the initial demo, but this still looks pretty cool, man. You can still blow up a whole building, and take it down.
The style's still fun too.
Yeah.
When we were watching this, the presenter was saying that this is a map. So I'm wondering if like this sort of lo-fi style is indicative of the map, or if this is going to be sort of what we can expect from the destructible elements of the game.
I would think the latter.
Yeah.
But so our Latin American IGN correspondents played it, and as I mentioned at the top of the show, they've kindly translated their preview to English, and it's up on IGN. Interestingly, so it has a lock-on system. So the idea in the multiplayer being you got to break line of sight, whether you shoot a hole through a building and escape that way, or shoot a bridge down to block their line of sight. So that is sort of the hook. Like if you can get the lock on, you can get the kill. But the idea is to break that lock on, break that line of sight. So I'm curious to see this. The word seems to be that what was shown was pretty bare bones, but fun. Yeah. But the question of how much is ultimately there remains to be seen. But yeah, it's as we're just watching gameplay of it here, a gameplay trailer.
It's funny because that lock-on persisted after they went behind a wall. So I'm curious.
Yeah, it's like how long does it take for you to break that?
Yeah, I mean, my gut says like, oh man, I'm not sure how that's gonna work, but it's very similar to like jet fighter games where you get the like Ace Combat. You get the lock on, and then your goal is to evade and lose the lock. Yeah.
That's gonna be really, really interesting. I hope it's fun. It was pretty fun when we were like blowing everything up, but it wasn't to this state yet, obviously.
Yeah.
So getting to see the multiplayer components and how it's evolved since we got our first look is really interesting, and I can't wait to actually try it out for myself.
And it is, of course, launching into Game Pass, as all first-party games will do from here on out. So February 15th appears to be the day we can set it, we can write it in wet cement, and it'll dry, and it's not going to change again.
Just get it tattooed on your arm.
You're going to Peter Moore this thing?
Yeah, Peter Moore it.
Next, see, we're not done. We've been going 40-something minutes, and we're still talking X018.
Oh, we got to speed this up.
16 new Game Pass games rolling out over various amounts of time. PUBG in there now. So if
I don't know how I feel about that.
Why? Out of curiosity.
That one's a little. I'm happy for the team at PUBG, but it makes me a little worried about the PUBG brand. If the early supporters that paid for the full game, they own it, and now had they just waited a few months after full release, they could have just got it via Game Pass.
It's been a year though, Destin. To be fair, it's been a year.
It's been a year since it went into early access. But how long has it been since they did their retail release?
I mean, the 1.0 was a few months ago, but in all fairness, I mean, well, I guess maybe good or bad.
I'm not like super mad.
No,
or
I know, but
I'm wondering how the community is going to react to this. Like, oh, well, why did I buy it?
I mean, I'd equate that to something getting a big price drop, right?
Yeah.
If you wait, you're going to see a price drop. You're going to see something change, usually. So it's kind of just like, well, that happened.
Well, the rumor is that perhaps even at the Game Awards, the PS4 version of PUBG will be announced. And if that happens, then, well, what Microsoft already can say, well, hey, come play it for as on our system, just as part of your Game Pass subscription.
That's true.
Advantage Microsoft in that scenario as far as someone making an independent decision on where do I want to play.
That's all right. I feel a little better. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. I do what I can.
Yeah.
I also think this is one of those unique games where the player base is sort of the content of the game. So getting more people in will help people who purchase it. Yeah.
Easier time getting more people to play, just because if you do have Games Pass, then why not try it?
And you're still up against Fortnite, which I love hopping into on my Xbox. It's the popcorn, right? You just hop in, play a match or two, and then you watch a movie or whatever else you're going to do for the day. Hopefully this will allow PUBG to have the same sort of appeal.
And we'll talk, actually, we're going to mention Fortnite again here in a minute, but the rest of the Game Pass games, you've got Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice.
December 17th.
December 17th, thank you. Yeah, in just under a week's time, that will be available as part of your Game Pass subscription. Ori and the Blind Forest coming right up after that. Sorry, Brandon. They deserve your money.
They do.
They did deserve it.
I think I've actually bought that game twice now.
And then Ori and the Will of the Wisps, the new one, will launch into Games Pass.
I cannot wait for that game.
Kingdom 2 Crowns, December 2019.
Yeah, so ooh, that might be a typo.
I copied and pasted. I wonder if that was an IGN typo.
I think that might have been. It's probably a typo from me. I was stenographer for this whole show.
All right. Well, never mind.
That's
nailed it.
That's December this year.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about
it's
that.
also the third game in the Kingdom series. So
yeah.
But it's 2 crowns.
It's well, the first one didn't have a crown, so then they added a crown. Now
Kingdom no crowns. Yeah. Kingdom crown.
Thank you. Thank you for making the joke that I was trying to make work.
After Charge in January, Supermarket Shriek, which sounds like the worst video game I've ever heard.
I actually seem super into that.
That game is bananas. You're in a shopping cart with a goat, and your screams.
All right, well, I'm in.
Your
Never mind,
screams.
I'm in. I'm back in.
Your screams propel you through an obstacle course.
What?
In a supermarket. You have to avoid mines and platforms. It's nuts.
All right, I'm back on board.
All right.
The title turned me off, but the description won me back. Sometime in 2019 there. Void Bastards, which was unveiled. That one... So it's billing itself as FTL meets System Shock, and the trailer looks really interesting. Go
it
look
looks
at
really
the trailer
unique. Yeah,
from IGN.
From the creators of System Shock, it really does have like a Borderlands cartoon aesthetic, but it's got the thing when you get into the ship, it's first person, and then you die in FTL style. You restart.
It's supposed to be making like comic book style. I remember seeing like this bang.
Yeah.
Show up on.
Exactly.
Good animation. Cool.
Yeah.
Pathologic 2,
cool.
The Secret Neighbor, The Good Life.
Secret Neighbor is a multiplayer game set in the Hello Neighbor universe.
Oh, interesting.
So
that was not a well-received game.
It wasn't, for a number of reasons, I think. But this looks like a creepy multiplayer kind of game. I feel like Hello Neighbor was a proof of concept for the game they wanted to make, which was break into your friends' houses and steal stuff without them seeing you. And that looks like what Secret Neighbor is.
Thief of Thieves available now. Mutant Year Zero, Road to Eden.
That's also a cool-looking top-down Wasteland style game.
MXGP3 for those of you who are motorcycle racing fans, Agents of Mayhem, and Thomas Was Alone. So that's a number of new games that are just there if you're subscribing for that $10 a month to Xbox Game Pass. And then Destin, the first wave finally of games supporting keyboard and mouse.
We were
Xbox
like,
One.
how is this going to work? What are they going to do? Well, a bunch of studios figured it out, apparently, including Daisy, Children of Morta, Minion Master, Warface, Bomber Crew, Warframe.
Not Warface. Two different games.
Sorry. Warframe.
Or sorry, no, both of them.
They're
Warface
both on
and
the
Warframe.
list.
Yeah.
There's a lot
When I
of
was
war
writing this, I was like, Warframe. Oh, no, it's Warface.
Was that Miranda?
There's a lot of war games on this list. There's one.
Yeah, Strange Brigade is kind of a war game with like...
War Thunder, War Groove,
No,
Warframe, Warface.
5 games with war. being their title.
Warhammer, Vermintide
War never
2,
changes.
Deep Rock Galactic, Moonlighter, Wargroove, Vigor, War Thunder, X Morph Defense. The most important one, Fortnite. Because, oh no, I'm going to be going up against keyboard and mouse players. They explained it super easily. They're like,
wait a minute.
No, you'll be up against other keyboard and mouse players.
You'll queue against people using those peripherals.
Good.
So you're not going to be up against controller players. You're good. You'll be going against other controller players.
And a caveat that didn't make it into the run of show is that Microsoft is working with Razer to partner to make an exclusive set of peripherals for keyboard and mouse players on Xbox.
But anything's going to work. Any USB.
But
whatever.
anything will work.
Yeah.
I got to have a correction. By the way, so many people told me that USB cameras do work with the console, so I assume it'll be sort of like that, where like if you're a streamer and you want to broadcast, you can use a camera. So I'm sure if you want to play on keyboard and mouse, you can just plug in whatever you got, and you're going to be good to go.
Fantastic. Just a couple more things here. New expansions announced for Forza Horizon 4. Fortune Island, which looks shocking, phenomenal. New weather systems.
I see what you did.
Thunderous lightning storms.
Boom.
As well as the Aurora Borealis lighting up the night sky. Plus a brand new tracks with, there's like this mountainside track with a ton of switchback.
Yeah, it's the longest continuous switchback they've done.
Yeah.
Perfect for drifting, so they say.
Yes. Can't wait to see that. And then for Sea of Thieves, the Arena, which will be a PvP focus.
So I am so excited for this.
Why are you guys excited about that?
It's cool.
It's outside of the adventure. So it'll be similar to how Fortnite started, right? You have the Save the World version, and then you have Battle Royale.
It's Battle Royale?
It's not Battle Royale.
It's okay. It's not a Battle Royale game. Let me just say that now, because we've speculated about a Sea of Thieves Battle Royale game before. It's similar to Fortnite in that you can choose one of those options, and you choose that from the main menu.
Okay.
So you don't go into adventure game and then join a queue to join the arena. It's you pick the arena or you pick adventure mode.
So do you just like kill everybody, then you win the arena?
Details are scarce. They're still balancing it, but it's teams of pirates that fight over loot.
So the biggest thing is that you're just trying to, get as much loot as you can and be the team with the most money at the end.
Okay. Okay.
Is what it seems
interesting.
like.
But they
It's
did
a
have
competitive
like
mode.
small islands and sandbars with like
they
a
should.
treasure chest in the middle, so 2 pirate teams race for it. You know.
And they showed plenty of teams like fighting each other
Yeah.
and like, of course, naval combat and
I saw the 4 ships going towards the
Yeah.
island in the trailer. Yeah.
some ships will sink.
Excellent. Well, we'll look for those, more continued support there. And finally, the last thing. It took us the entire length of X018 to talk about X018. That's how packed it was.
That
Look
show
for
was
some
2 hours long, right?
serious deals. Or just let me have this
I'm
one.
with you in spirit.
Let's end on some extra good news. Some serious deals coming your way on Xbox. If you haven't upgraded to the Xbox One X yet, and you've maybe been on the fence thinking about it, like, well, Scarlet, maybe 2020. Actually, I get these tweets a lot. Like, should I wait? Should I wait? And I tell people, if you have a 4K TV, why not enjoy the X for 2 years? 2 years is a long time. And you're going to be finding the Xbox One X for $399.
And look into those trade-up deals. If you have a standard Xbox, there's a lot of discounts on those. So you could probably get it for even less than $399.
Yeah. Was it the...
Some people are paying $200 for an X. And
what was that version that they had that deal on? It was like you trade in, and then you buy this version. You get $100 off from the version, and then you trade in, and it drops it down to $200.
I don't remember, but you know who does? Google.
Google.
So Google that, everybody.
Google will know.
Google
Brandon's trying to hook
remembers
you up with a good deal.
Yeah.
So there you go.
For everything Xbox, right here on Google.
Well, there you go. So great job by Microsoft. You know, inevitably, sure, I saw some people that wish they'd seen like new game announcements. I think it's always, I mean, we talk about this a lot, but I think it's always important to just remember, and I'm not like, I don't want to discount anyone's disappointment, but I do think it's important to just manage your own expectations. Like, I think people expect E3 level things every single time there's one of these events. And the only one that's ever E3 level is E3. Gamescom is not that level. Game Awards is not that, for Microsoft, for a platform basis is not that level. I mean, it's, would it have been cool to have a couple new games announced? Sure. Or maybe see Battletoads gameplay, something like that. But, take a look at what we got here. You got some nice platform announcements, 2 new studios, and finally look at Crackdown 3 and the Forza expansion. There's some good stuff in here.
Not on here. State of Decay is getting an expansion that they talked about. Zed Hunter.
Minecraft Pandas.
Pandas.
Cats and pandas.
Is that what it was?
No, it's cute.
Yeah.
In addition to this Xbox One price drop, first month of Game Pass is $1 for anybody who doesn't have it yet.
Right.
And then I think they're doing a 12-month subscription for half off right now.
So Ryan, you feel like the consensus is that the conference wasn't that great. I thought this was
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying
Just
the
some
opposite.
people
I'm just
felt
saying
that way?
some of the feedback on my Twitter was from disappointed people, and it's like, okay, I mean, I get that. I think it's maybe I just had my expectations calibrated differently than some people, and I wasn't expecting an E3 level of content.
It's because we're aware this was an episode of Inside Xbox that they hosted from X018.
Right.
X018 is a fan event. This was their monthly sort of Xbox-focused show.
The fans were stoked. They got to play a bunch of on-release games. I think this sets a really good precedent for what Xbox is going to do for their fans moving forward. I hope they continue this next year.
I hope so.
But even if it's in the same place or a new location, the crowd was stoked to be there. I think the presenters were really happy to be presenting this stuff. They had a little bit of fun where Major Nelson did the goofy thing. Yeah, and they had all the panels. They had music there at this event. This is great.
If you weren't there, I could totally understand disappointment. But I think as far as fan events go, there's a lot of great stuff here. And I feel like a lot of fan events don't always offer a lot as in terms of announcements too. It's a lot of recaps or like, oh, we're just showing this trailer, but it's
deep
10 seconds
dives,
longer, or we're going back over this trailer again. But this had a lot to offer, and sure, there are some things I would have loved to see here, but we'll see them later.
I know a lot of people were using a couple of the XOs that revealed like Halo 2 as precedent, right? And that was a very different time in the industry. That was before like it is what it is today. So you just you can't drop something like that without a marketing lead up for it. Like You have shareholders and investors to answer to. This is a very well-oiled machine.
Yeah, and I thought it was great. So take that, bam, naysayers, bam. You didn't switch the camera, but whatever. I liked it.
Quickly, rapid fire here because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
The loot box. Here's a random question that I just made up actually this time because in the spirit of the announcements this week, your favorite Obsidian or In Exile game, go.
I'm going to cheat and say before they split, Baldur's Gate from Black Isle Studios.
All right, I'll accept that.
Which they only published.
Yeah. So. All right.
I'm going to talk a lot. I feel like I've had a lot of camera time this episode, so I'll get right into it. Fallout New Vegas is my favorite Obsidian game.
I knew someone was going to say
Hunted Demon's Forge. I already talked about it a little bit in the earlier part of the show. I think has the most potential design-wise to be something really, really interesting. I'm not talking about the brand, but their capabilities as a studio that In Exile has. Like, they have a lot of abilities that they've shown with Wasteland. I can't wait to see Hunted Demon's Forge. And Alpha Protocol would fill an awesome niche right now. Now, we know that there is a Splinter Cell game on the way, supposedly. Somebody on the Unlock group took the Walmart leak sheet, and like Borderlands 3 and Splinter Cell are the only two announcements that didn't happen off that sheet. A game like Alpha Protocol that's stealth and RPG mixed would be a fantastic game on the Xbox platform. And Metal Gear's not around anymore.
And neither is Mass Effect.
Neither is what?
Hey,
oh yeah, so it like brings them
you know
both
what just
together.
And
It brings them
Xbox
both
One
together
X
and makes a
upgrade,
fantastic game.
or the enhanced update.
Yeah. What?
Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good. They announced on N7 Day.
Yeah.
You were expecting us to know.
Yeah.
No, why did you not see that? Of course.
Yeah, I did see that.
Anyway, rapid fire. Fallout New Vegas.
Sorry. Actual
Take
rapid
that.
fire.
That was rapid
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah.
That was a slow, torturous machine gun
Listen,
fire.
how
Sorry,
do you not
everybody.
know the enhancement update?
Yeah, no, it was.
How do
I
you
saw
not
it.
know that?
Wait, what?
You're a Mass
Oh.
Effect buddy.
It's because it's Andromeda.
Oh,
You know what?
snap.
It's still
Sick
a very
bird.
good game.
I feel bad, so I'm going to go back and say In Exile's The Bard's Tale, which was released in 2004 for consoles.
I liked that game a lot. It was funny. It was,
a lot
it was
of
a comedy.
people give it shit because they thought it wasn't true to the traditional Bard's Tale sort of vibe of it. That game broke the fourth wall so well. The narrator crapped all over the main character,
was
who
really
was
good.
who was basically like an alcoholic buffoon who just happened to be an adventurer.
Sounds like he deserves the crapping.
That game was very good.
Yeah, really like that game as well.
Yeah, so
I'll go South Park: The Stick of Truth. Shout out to Obsidian.
Solid choice.
Checks out.
Excellent stuff. So there you go. Quickly, trivia time. Because, by the way, I want to mention the trophy's done and it's en route. So I might, maybe next week before
How do we know? How do we know who's going to win?
He means it's manufactured.
Yeah.
But it's not like engraved or
Not yet.
laser. Oh, you laser etch it. Okay.
Well, or I may have.
Or
I
in
may
your
have-
workshop with a tiny chisel.
Or I may have had the creator kindly make two for the two potential winners.
Wow. You hold one back for next year.
Or just taunt the loser with the
Secretly-
You can never actually
Secretly,
have
you put it on your mantle at home. You're like, I'm always the winner.
If I get every answer right for the rest of the year, I could come in second.
Maybe. Okay.
But everybody else would have to get everything wrong.
I'm so bad at trivia, you might
Oh,
know that.
I know this one actually.
I don't
so.
know this one.
yeah, Brandon, you could set. If you could get your lead up to 3 on this,
I'm gonna clinch it.
over the Ghost of Alana, that could really
No, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
go a long way. Nick from Michigan asks, in honor of Obsidian joining Microsoft, what Obsidian game was never released on an Xbox console? Was it Neverwinter Nights 2, Dungeon Siege 3, Pillars of Eternity, or Skyforge? I'll go Destin's
B.
way first. Dungeon Siege 3, Miranda.
I'm going to say B too because Destin was still here. He's convinced me.
You know Destin well enough.
I
to
have
know-
no
plan.
idea
You
what
know
the
Destin well
answer
enough
is.
to know that that is his guessing face.
I don't know.
When he smiles after he says something, he doesn't know what he's talking
B,
about.
everybody.
I'm
That's
also
definitely the
guessing.
answer.
I played this game, and I know it wasn't on a console because I played it on PC. It is a Neverwinter
Dang
Nights
it.
It is
This
Neverwinter
one.
Nights 2.
2. And I think Dungeon Siege 3 was the third-person action game on PlayStation. I think.
Oh, dude, trust me on this.
I played. Okay,
I think.
we'll fight about this off
Trust
air.
me
Trust
on
me,
this.
I
Isn't it
think.
like that one
Trust
movie
me,
that
I
really
think.
exists but doesn't actually exist, but they have memories of it?
No, I swear to
Like
God,
that?
I played a Dungeon Siege Siege game on the PlayStation. I remember because I was like, this game sucks because I was bad at it.
Oh.
Send your trivia questions to unlocked@ign.com. Include 4 multiple choice answers. Note the correct one in your email. Same thing, loot. That's the same email address to send loot box questions to. Just random things you want to ask us that we can do in that topic, that part of the show.
Can I just say I'm really liking this segment, this loot box segment.
It's
It's fun.
So far,
so
so
fun.
good. It's more fun than what we were
Then
doing.
listening to me read 3 pages. Of
Yeah, totally. And that's it. We're done.
All right, don't
we
be
did
so
it.
excited about it.
Congratulations. We did it.
We did it.
You finished the show,
Look at
Ryan.
a
Great
treat.
job.
It's time to go home. That's the
we
best
is.
part.
we still have 14 seconds.
Excellent.
What are we gonna do?
Follow me at DMC_Ryan. New Unfiltered this week. It is with Joe Fielder, who used to do what we do. He's an ex-Games Media guy from old school GameSpot.
Oh, wow.
Crossed over into game development years and years ago. He worked on Boom Blocks with Steven Spielberg.
that's
at
a
EA.
cool game.
He worked on sort of his big title, BioShock Infinite. He was the narrative lead on that with Ken Levine, and now he's doing Underworld Ascendant, which is the spiritual successor that's out next week, or actually out this week. Sorry, for Ultima Underworld, one of the most revered RPGs ever. They get some of the original creators back on that. So Joe Fielder comes in. We have an interesting conversation about his career. Give that a listen on IGN, on YouTube, or podcast services. Destin?
Yeah, I mean, I just released 49 little details about Red Dead Redemption 2. You guys should really check out that video. It's just like the little things that they do that's really, really interesting in the game that you might have missed. I really like working on that. And I just want to say I really like where Xbox is at right now. I love being on an Xbox show talking about it. I think X018, man, everything they're doing lately is just awesome, and I'm excited to be part of the conversation.
I feel like we're beyond circa like 2008, 2009. Like we're like when all this pays off, with Scarlet, we're gonna have earned it. We're gonna be flying high.
Yeah. The loyal will be rewarded.
Miranda.
Hello, that's me. I'm still in Red Dead Land. If you need to know where the dream catchers are, I found them all.
Oh, wow.
You can enter our wiki. That's only one of like 5 collectibles, and one of the collectibles I was 144 cigarette cards.
Jeez.
Anyway, we're finding all those, so you can check out our wiki for a lot of them. In addition to all of that, I also reviewed the new Pokemon game, Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee. So that was something I was super excited to work on. Pokemon's like a super big part of my life. Anyway,
How about that Detective Pikachu trailer? How cool was that?
You should see her desk.
Yeah. There's a little grunt in there too. He protects them. That's my idea. Anyway, so that's a big thing that I've been working on, and excited to kind of get back into other games as well. There's a lot of games that I need to catch up on, and I'm excited to jump into my Games Pass.
Fantastic. Brandon, take us home.
Hey, I'm Brandon Tyrell. My Twitter handle is Brandon Tyrell. And let's see. If you missed any of the coverage from X018, Destin and I worked on Saturday to get all that up. You can find
Shout out to Armando.
Nice roundup article and all that stuff on IGN. In addition, if you're curious about Fallout 76, it is not a review by any means, but I did put up my final impressions after...
You've played 20 hours?
After 20 hours in the beta, yeah. And then I will be starting on that this week.
How about that patch?
So
The 54 gig patch.
Bigger than the game.
Yeah.
If people Google IGN Fallout 76 review, they'll find that page. Yes,
They will.
Yes, so do check that out.
So yeah, check that out, and stay tuned next week. I'll have actual review impressions that I can call a review.
And next week is the Thanksgiving week in the U.S. We will have a show. We will be here. The schedule plays in our favor in that regard. So we'll not be missing a week anytime quite soon as the holiday season will officially kick off. So that's it. Let's get out of here. Miranda, thank you. Brandon, good stuff. Destin, I don't know what to say.
Bam.
All right. I'm
Bam.
Byron McCaffrey, and we'll see everybody next week.